Welcome back. Dozens of Stanford Group clients from the United States, Mexico, and Venezuela have contacted Bloomberg News following word Tuesday that the federal government was shutting down the investment business on charges that its founder, Texas billionaire Alan Stanford, was running what the Securities and Exchange Commission called a massive ongoing fraud. Bloomberg reporter Allison Fitzgerald covers the Securities and Exchange Commission. She joins us from Washington with the latest. Allison, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. How are you doing?
Allison, I'm fine. Tell me what's going on here. Specifically, what is he charged with, accused of by federal officials?
Well, he's accused of basically lying to his investors. He sold something that he called a CD, and he took the money and he invested it in what they say is mostly real estate, private equity, things that, were not liquid assets. He told the investors the investments were safe. He told them they were well insured, and the SEC says that none of that was true.
Allison, is it a little crazy? Because from what I'm hearing, that these annual investment gains that came from Stanford International Bank were like 11.5% to 16.5%, except for last year. I mean, these are pretty decent returns, pretty consistent. Should that, from what you're hearing, have kind of raised a red flag earlier than it actually did?
Yeah, well, it should have. The interesting thing about what he did, he would report those investment gains on the portfolio, but he paid the investors a fixed interest rate that was higher than more normal interest rates, but lower than those gains. So there was a little bit of a smoke and mirrors there in terms of what he said he was gaining on investments versus what the people investing in the bank were getting.
Allison, I led into the interview by saying that folks have been contacting Bloomberg News about this story. Can you give us a sense of what they've been telling our reporters?
There are a lot of, I get about 10 emails an hour at this point from people from Venezuela, the U.S., Mexico, all over the place. A lot of them say they put their entire life savings in Stanford CDs because they thought they were safe. A lot of them followed their brokers who had worked for other companies and moved to Stanford, and they trusted those brokers to do the due diligence for them. They are losing everything. And these aren't sort of institutional investors. They're not university endowments. These are people who have $200,000 or $300,000, maybe if they're lucky, 5 or 6, and put all their life savings into this bank.
You know, Allison, who is our Alan Stanford? I mean, I think we all felt that way after Bernard Madoff. I'm like, who is this guy who could kind of get away with this? Well, who is Mr. Stanford?
You know, Mr. Stanford, he's a very colorful character. He's a native Texan who basically made a lot of money in the 80s in real estate, set up shop first in Montserrat, and then after Montserrat shut down all its offshore banks, he moved to Antigua. He owns a huge amount of real estate in Antigua. He owns the airlines. He owns the newspaper. He became a citizen. The Antiguan government knighted him a couple of years ago. So he goes by Sir Alan, and he really seems to like that.
He's also involved in sports big time, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He organized a $20 million cricket match between West Indies and Great Britain last year. He gives a lot of money to golf, to polo, to sailing, to tennis. His company sponsors golfer Vijay Singh. If he was running a scam, he was hiding in plain sight because he kept a pretty high profile.
And Allison, we have about 30 seconds left. Speaking of hiding in plain sight, where is he? Do the authorities know where he is at this point?
They don't want to comment on that, but nobody has said where he is. It seems that people are looking for him. On the other hand, we're not sure what kind of ability they have to look for him where he, in Antigua, which is his home country, because the U.S. authorities may not be able to go in there and find him.
All right, Allison, thanks very much. Our own Allison Fitzgerald giving us the latest on the Stanford Bank.